Hi, my name's Johanna Unden. I'm a Chicago writer and filmmaker, and my film is Adagio. Adagio is about a middle-aged woman who is also a ballerina dancer, and it's a day in the life story of how she moves through life, both as an aging dancer and as a woman who feels relegated to the edges of society in a sense.
I enjoyed your film quite a bit. You wrote and directed this. You wrote it.
Yeah. Yep.
How'd you come up with the concept?
Funny enough, this film took a really long time to develop just because I had the character before I had the story. So I knew initially that the character I wanted to write a story about was going to be an older woman, someone who wasn't a wife or a mother or a caretaker. My outlook and where I really like to write stories is centered around female characters, and especially female characters that aren't um, typical for cinema or mainstream cinema, which is usually women in film are um, ingenues or mothers or caretakers, and that is really what they are on the screen. And I think I'm very interested in finding out what lives of women are like that aren't in those categories. So I knew I wanted to write about a female character who was not any of those things. So I had this idea of a woman who was an older woman, not a wife, caretaker, a mother, um, who had a passion. And I felt like dance was a really cool vessel to tell that story just because um, I feel like ballet itself is also um, on its face very feminine and very dainty, but it's also a very tough
Yeah.
dance form. So I think those two ideas are really interesting to me.
And one and two and three and four and one and two and three
And also I think it's something that as you age and get older, dance is really hard for your body. And I felt like it was a good way to showcase kind of like this internal struggle that this character was dealing with. So I had that idea and it took a long time just to really kind of figure out what the story was from there. Um, I had been watching a lot of films by Chantal Ackerman, who was a really big inspiration for this film and a lot of stuff from the French New Wave. And I wanted to play with the idea of a film that was less plot driven and more character driven, and really just focused on what this character was feeling and doing throughout this day. So that's really where the story stemmed from. And from that, being in Chicago, I really wanted a chance to highlight the city. Um, and so it was really just kind of a day in the life outlook of Sylvia, this character who was struggling with these ideas of femininity and aging and also being a woman in society who isn't necessarily valued the same as others. And it's really just a little outlook on that small moment. So
Mhm. Do you have a fascination with dance, or do you have any type of a dance background? I'm just curious about when you
yeah,
the occupation.
I don't. I did ballet when I was like 4 and then I quit. So I don't have any dance background. I was in sports growing up. So that was really interesting. And writing it, I had to look up some of these like ballet terms just to like understand. But and I really leaned heavily on Lisa, the actress, because she has a dance background to kind of like help me with that. So I don't have a dance background at all, but
Let's talk about your lead actress, Lisa Bayer.
Lisa Bear, yeah.
How'd you come to casting her?
Um, we did a posting on Backstage, and it just like weird coincidence. We got the message from Lisa, and it just immediately seemed like she was perfect. So casting, I knew, you know, casting an older woman is also the older your actors get, the harder it is. And I knew that would be a challenge. And then on top of that, it is a dance heavy film. So I knew I also had to have an actress who had a dance background because I don't think that's really anything that you can fake. You would really have to learn, ballet to be able to like perform the way that she performs. So I knew it was going to be a little tough. I didn't really know what options I was going to have in terms of actors who would fit this age range and can also ballet dance. But Lisa reached out and She is she's an actress, she's a voiceover artist, but she also has 30 years of dance experience, and she was a ballet instructor for 30 years, and she's done a lot of choreography for ballet. So it just was like the perfect combination of skills, and she really is this character in so many ways. And I think she brought a lot to the character that I couldn't have written in terms of being this age and having a lot of these lived experiences. And she was a ballet dancer in Chicago when she was younger, so she brought so much of lived experience to this character that I could not have written as someone with no dance background and someone who is in their young 20s. So she was very, very important in helping tell this story, and she was great. So
It's a role that you can't fake.
yeah, not at all.
Yeah. These days, actresses at that age are playing grandmothers. They're playing.
That's what it is. It's you're a grandma, you're a
Yeah.
caretaker, or you're not passionate about an art. You're not a
Yeah.
dancer, you're not pursuing something at
You're
that
not
age.
playing a living, breathing human being with many different facets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to help show. And so it was great. And Lisa was just amazing. So
Let's talk about your crew. I enjoyed the sort of documentary feel approach to it. It felt like a very intimate character study. Thought it was very well done.
thank you. Yeah, going into production, that is a lot of the inspiration for this too was again kind of the thematic ideas I was wrestling with and wanting to highlight. A lot of that comes from like French New Wave, Italian neorealism, and a lot of that comes from small crews, no, big lighting setups. It's really using this naturalistic approach, and that is really what I wanted to do with this film. And partly just because of how we were filming, through Chicago and throughout the city, on the streets, in the park, on the CTA, all of that requires being as small and minimal as possible. So we had to have a small crew just in terms of being able to like hit all these spots and get these shots in places that weren't really welcoming to large film crews. So yeah, it does have like a doc style approach. We definitely filmed it in a doc style, just in terms of, we had one camera person, we had one person for sound. We weren't doing all these big lighting setups. Even the studio scenes where Lisa's dancing, we really just utilized natural lighting.
Yeah. You're from northern Minnesota, now you're in Chicago. How do you like the differences?
I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love northern Minnesota and it's home. But I love the city. I love being, and also just coming from the arts, being somewhere that is a hub for art is honestly really amazing. There's always stuff going on. There's always new people to meet, new places to go to. There's a lot of creativity here, and I find a lot of inspiration in that. And especially for this film, Chicago served as a lot of inspiration just for the visual aspect of this film. And I have Lake Michigan, so I grew up on Lake Superior, and being right next to Lake Michigan, it feels like home. I still have that like touch of nature that I enjoy, but I really love Chicago, and I feel like starting my career in film, it's a really, really great, it's a really good place for that.
How is your film doing on the festival circuit?
It's good. So we've just started. It was in our kind of our university film festival, and I was up for best director for that, which was really, really fun. And we've just kind of started to branch out. I'm kind of doing a Midwest focus for this film. I think this is really the first film that I've done that I am putting out into the festival circuit. So this is really my first kind of experience with that process. And so far it's been really fun. I'm very excited for it to make its Milwaukee premiere in Milwaukee, which is just wonderful. And hopefully in the next coming months, we get some more news on different festivals, but I'd love to really focus in the Midwest, especially get into some Minnesota festivals, which is where I'm from, Chicago, Milwaukee, Indiana, but it's been really fun.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.